there's no reason for you to then put all that to the side and decide you can abuse your mama.
That wasn't my intention. But
if you can be good to people in the street, you can be better to people at your house.
Yes, ma'am.
We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Khalil Damare Jones, 2025 CR 00494 for criminal trespass. Mr. Lynch, what does your client plead to the offense?
A guilty plea.
All right, by entering a plea of guilty, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about January the 7th of 2025, Officer Makaya, Makaya Pearson, was dispatched to 883 Capitol Court, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30238, Clayton County, in reference to a domestic disturbance. During the investigation, it was determined that the defendant did commit the offense of criminal trespass and that he intentionally and admitted that he damaged the property belonging to the victim, also the defendant's mother in this case, Miss Kim Joanna, Kimjuana Jones property. The defendant, him being mad at the victim. The damages to the victim's property are less than $500. The defendant has not resided at the property since December 21st of 2024 due to a legally binding agreement that was signed by them. So they have lived together in the past. When the agreement was signed on December 21st of 2024, the defendant did come back to the residence and asked if he could stay inside the residence. And at that time, the victim said no, due to their agreement that they had entered into. Officer Pearson did observe video footage of the defendant stating that he was not leaving the residence and that the only way that he would leave is if he got arrested. Your Honor, those are the facts of the case. The state's recommendation is 12 months probation, 40 hours of community service, a fine of $300, random testings and random testing and screens, no drugs or alcohol, substance abuse evaluation and treatment, and to follow our recommendations, to attend one AA meeting a week, and to have no violent or harassing contact with the victim. And the reason for those additional conditions is because, according to the victim's mother, the defendant does have a drinking problem. And also the victim is on the call and would like to give a victim impact statement as well, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jones, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly, no, Mr. Jones, not you, your mom. Ms. Jones, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
She's muted.
Ms. Jones? Okay, you gotta unmute for me. You know how to do that?
Should be a mic. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. All
Okay.
right. So, Ms. Jones, tell me what's going on. How old is your son?
He's 31.
Okay, and is the drinking problem the only issue, or does he have some other issues we need to know about?
He had some other issues, I believe. He has a drug addiction, I believe, to marijuana. I'm thinking maybe something else, but I know marijuana, drinking, beer all the time. And I just feel like he needs a mental health assessment. Khalil is very disrespectful and rude, and he's very entitled. He feel like somebody's supposed to do everything for him. And like I keep telling him, like, you're grown.
How old is he?
31.
Okay, so ma'am, when did you cut the cord? Because if he thinks you're supposed to do stuff for him and he's been hanging around, 31 seems a little late to shut all that down. How long ago did you tell him he need to get to stepping.
Well, he's been gone. He only had been back at my house for 2 months. And so he's been on hard times for a while now. And then, you know, when it breaks my heart sometimes. And so I gave him an offer to come back, stay with me, get on his feet, so he could save money to get himself a place, because he was staying with a old friend of mine, and he wasn't prospering or doing anything with himself. And so they got into a situation or whatever. And so, you know, I call and check on him like weekly or whatever. And so I was just telling him like, well, you can come back over here, Khalil, and get on your feet, which it didn't initially have no date. But like I said, once he got back over here, the same behavior that he's displayed before, he started doing it again. So I called the police one morning before I had to go to drill. And so this officer came out, spoke with them or whatever. So at that point, that's when I drew up the agreement. And I said, well, and the officer said, well, you got to go downtown and file a petition, and it'll take about 30 days. So I told him, I said, well, Khalil, we could do that.
Not to interrupt, Ms. Jones, but okay, you said drill, which means you're in the reserves, right?
The National Guard.
Okay, and you also had a full-time job?
Yes.
Okay, so you working and in the National Guard, what has he done with his life? Like since he was 18, did he graduate from high school?
Yes, he graduated from high school.
What did he do after that?
After high school, he had some good jobs, but for some reason, he don't keep them. And the last time that he went to jail, it was behind a girlfriend of his, and he had his own apartment, on everything. And once he went to jail, they put all his stuff out. They came and scavenged through it, and by the time he got out of jail, he didn't have nowhere to go.
Okay, so you gave him a time to reset, but he didn't take advantage of that time.
He didn't take advantage. He started working. He was working around the corner. He was I assume saving his money, because I didn't charge him no rent. I didn't charge him anything. I just said, save your money. And in 2 months, we drew up an agreement for 2 months, and in 2 months, you know, you gotta go. Well, when the 2 months came, he act like he didn't realize it was time for him to go. I had to make him, you know, well, Khalil, you can't go to work until you get all your stuff out of the garage and stuff and put it in your car. So he did most of it, and then he went to work or whatever. So the situation came where once the agreement was over, he didn't have nowhere to go. So he was sleeping and living in his car, which is in my driveway. So on the very, very cold nights, I would let him come into the garage, let him use the heaters, and give him a cot and all that stuff. Well, when he started getting, but my issue was he'll bother stuff without permission. And so this last time he bothered something, I said, I'm tired, Khalil, you gotta go. So he refused to leave. He said, you know, you're gonna have to call the police to get me out. So I called the police to get him out.
All right. So, Mr. Jones, you're 31 years old. It's time to get off your mama's bosom. Sir, she doesn't owe you anything. She's raised you under the law and under common sense. You're 31 years old. So you're good and grown. She doesn't owe you anything. And so you having a tantrum because she won't let you stay at her house. No, sir. That's not acceptable to me. I'm old school. And when I say old school, I mean like old school, like raised by grandparents, old school. And my grandparents had 13 children, and none of them came back home to live with them. They lived on their own. They made their own way. And so you saying that you won't leave until she called the police. Well, I can make sure you don't go back, because you need to get yourself together, sir. What? I'm sorry, what? Yes, sir. Yeah, but come closer because I can't hear you. Speak up.
I've been working. I've been doing dispatches for work, so I keep a job. I've been working, going to work every day. I just drink a beer when I get off of work. That's about it, and I sit in my car. On the cold nights, she would let me come in and use the space heaters. So that's what I asked her if I could come in. I also asked her if I can pay her $150 a week for the extension to stay there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's cheaper than the going rate, Mr. Jones.
Like
That's
600 a week. Yeah, I mean 600 a month, but that you know, I'm
is
only
that what you make?
I make 500 a week.
Okay, so
So
you probably make enough to get you a little room in a rooming house or
I
something.
tried to get a rooming house, but with my background, they did not.
Okay, so you don't mess yourself up. What
And
you
with
saying?
having the eviction, that pretty much, you know what I'm saying? So I'll have to find like somewhere where I can stay
Okay,
type of place.
I get you, Mr. Jones. This is a complicated situation, but you know what the problem is you have gotten yourself into a situation where your only refuge is your mama. And then instead of respecting her and her ability to give you housing and to take care of you when you couldn't take care of yourself, you disrespected her. So you have basically disrespected everybody who could help you. Everybody, including your mom,
Wow.
including your mom. At 31, don't nobody, I have this theory that if you are able, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And when mamas and daddies prop these children up until they are grown, then what you do is you take away their ability to realize how much they can do for themselves. And so they become dependent on, I'm gonna run back to mama. Mama gonna help me. I'm gonna run back to mama. I can mess up my life, but I'm going to always run back to mama. Well, now you've messed up this situation with your mom. And so I'm not real sure what you're gonna do because you gotta make a decision to not drink. You got to make a decision to go to a program, whether it's AA or some other program. If you can maintain a job and act right on them people's job, you can act right to your mama. If you can go to work every day and say, yes, sir, no, sir, and do your job, then when you get off after 6, there's no reason for you to then put all that to the side and decide you can abuse your mama.
That wasn't my intention, but
If you can be good to people in the street, you can be better to people at your house.
yes, ma'am.
We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
You gonna go out there and be a good employee for somebody else, but you're gonna show your tail to your mama when she's helping you and she's the only help you got. I say that all the time. We can be so good to people in the street or people who don't know us, but the people who got to stand in our corner when we don't have anybody else, we treat them like dirt. If your mama walk away from you, name one person who would give you someplace to stay, put money on your books if you're in jail, take care of you if you're sick. Name one person. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Ain't got nobody.
But the one person you have, you abusing. All right. So Mr. Lynch, anything?
No, Judge.
Yeah, I'm not inclined for the no violent or harassing contact. I don't think he should have any contact with his mama right now.
I don't have a problem with him, Judge. I just know that I feel like he need a mental health evaluation and a drug and alcohol treatment and anger management classes.
Well, he's going to get that. So, Mr. Jones, let me tell you something.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't mess up because you're going to be right here back before me. And I'm going to remember this. Ask anybody, ask Mr. Lynch how my memory works because I've had this conversation with you. So I won't forget. So if I see Khalil Jones again and you come back on a probation revocation, I'm going to remember all of this. And we're going to have a very different conversation because I am telling you now, your mama is the last refuge you got. You need to get yourself straight because she's all you have, and don't abuse her because then you'll end up with nothing. And the Clayton County Jail ain't where you want to be, sir. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's been on the news. It is not safe.
I know.
Okay, so I'm going to accept your plea. I'll send you the 12 months probation, a 40 hours of community service, a $300 fine. That'll be $444 with the surcharges. You're to have a substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that they order you to take. You're subject to random screenings for alcohol and drugs. You're to have no alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your probation, and you will attend and show proof of attending one AA meeting per week. Now, don't give me, I got to work or I couldn't find one. AA meetings are everywhere. They even have them online now. So if you got a cell phone, you can attend an AA meeting. So please do not come back and say you couldn't find one or you couldn't attend one. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're 31 years old, Mr. Jones. Are you going to be a baby for the rest of your life?
No,
Or are
ma'am.
you going to stand up and be a man?
Stand up and be a man.
All right, then that means you got to take care of some stuff. I'm gonna need you to do that. So no violent or harassing contact to Miss Kimwana Jones. All right, and if you mess up, please understand that I will ban you from Miss Jones's house, so you can't even go back to your one refuge. Don't mess up.
Yes, ma'am. So I can go back home.
I'm sorry.
So I can go back home.
She said if she allows it, you do what she says do. If you pay attention to what she says and you don't act a fool, then that's between the two of y'all. But if you mess up, if I hear of any violent or harassing contact with Miss Jones, oh man, you'll be back in an orange jumpsuit so quick.
I'm not saying he can come back. I'm just saying I want a
She
relationship
said
with
she'll
him.
talk to you. She ain't say you could come back. We
Yeah.
clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So don't say the judge said I could stay here. The judge did not say that.
No, I
The
didn't say-
judge said your mama gets to decide what kind of relationship she has with you.
Yes, ma'am.
If I was you, I'd make other living arrangements. They got all these videos online about people living in their cars and living in vans and stuff, and they making a life out of it while they save money. You might want to look at some of those.
It was way too cold in the car. It was like 26 degrees.
They make it happen. They make it work. So don't be a baby. Man up. All right.
All right.